Hey y'all, welcome back to Got Your Six, Leadership Forged in Fire. Today's conversation is a little bit more personal than normal, not because I want my listeners to give any sympathy to any particular thing, but with Memorial Day right around the corner, I feel like Memorial deserves a bit of honesty. For many people, Memorial Day means a long weekend. Amazing. Love to hear about the family time. It means barbecues, flags. But for many veterans and military families, and for children raised in homes shaped by war, Memorial Day is a bit heavier than that. Yes, we do barbecues, don't get me wrong, but there's meaning behind it. There's thoughtfulness. Because some wars don't end when the deployments end, some battles come home. And some warriors never have the ability to leave the battlefield behind. As a retired U.S. Army officer, I have stood in rooms where leadership meant preparing people for uncertainty, standing in front of formations, watching my soldiers prepare for these unknown times, what they're walking into, and having to be that strong, resilient leader in front of them. I have watched soldiers bury their burdens too heavy for words. I've watched strength exist beside pain. Over the years, I have come to understand something most people never see. Sometimes the deepest wounds are the ones nobody can identify from the outside. So today's discussion is going to be a little different with the week focusing on Memorial Day coming up. I know people listen to this all year round, so just know this is recorded around Memorial Day. But nonetheless, focusing on Memorial Day and the loss that correlates with it is what I'm going to discuss today. Today, I want to talk about leadership, resilience, sacrifice, and the invisible battles many veterans continue to fight long after the uniform is folded away or hung in the closet. Because the discussions about leadership today is not just about how someone passes away. Sometimes leadership is found in how someone just keeps trying to figure out how to live. When reflecting on incredible leadership and resiliency, one of the men I think about the most is Desmond Doss. Such an incredible amount of courage from this person. Desmond Doss served during World War II as a medic. He refused to carry a weapon because of his faith. So many veterans are so against people like this, but this young man was so strong in his faith, he absolutely refused to carry a weapon, even though he was forced to go to war. Doss served as a medic in a conflict we all know as a story called Hacksaw Ridge, under relentless enemy fire between April and May 1945. While bullets were flying and chaos surrounding him, he kept going back in the middle of all of it for one more soldier, one more life, one more person to carry out of this chaos. That is the kind of leadership matters because it reminds us of that courage that is not always aggression. Strength is not always loud. Leadership is not always commanded. Sometimes leadership simply looks like service. It looks like sacrifice. Sometimes leadership is simply refusing to abandon people when fear would normally tell you to run. What really stands out to me the most about Desmond Doss is not simply that he saved lives, it is that he kept choosing courage over fear repeatedly and repeatedly. That is resilience. Resilience is not pretending fear doesn't exist, right? A lot of people think when you're resilient, that means you can make all the things happen, you can go to war, or you can fight through these challenges in life. But that's not what it is. Resilience is simply not pretending fear doesn't exist. It continues to move, helps you move forward rather, while feeling the fear roam through your body. And honestly, I think many veterans understand this better than anyone. Resilience is waking up after sleepless nights and still showing up. It is carrying memories you wish you could forget. I'm speaking from very much experience on this. And still trying to be a good parent, a good spouse, a good friend, a good leader. Sometimes resilience is not loud. It is simply refusing to quit on life because of the people around us secretly helping to hold us up. I think there is something deeply important in that lesson right now. In this world that's so chaotic, many veterans and people today are still carrying quiet emotions while carrying wounds nobody can see. Sometimes the biggest wounds from war are invisible so many times. I have another story I want to share. We all know I like my stories. I also love history, for those of you that don't know this. There was a young man named Michael Murphy, Michael P. Murphy to be exact. Michael Murphy was raised in Long Island. I had to bring him up as a fellow New Yorker, where he gained a reputation as Murph the Protector for defending classmates while in high school from others bullying them. Isn't that incredible? That's how he started his young life. In June 2005, he was in the military and he led a four-man reconnaissance team seeking a Taliban leader. When he and his team were surrounded by 30 to 40 enemy fighters, I want to say again, he led a four-man reconnaissance team. Recon teams are not normally the ones fighting. They're going to see what's happening, going to look, getting evidence, getting information, and bringing it back. When he and his team were surrounded by these 30 to 40 enemy fighters, Murphy exposed himself to intense fire because their radios weren't working. He exposed himself to be able to radio for help, an act that cost his life, but ensured the rescue attempt for the rest of the people he was with. This story became widely known through a movie many of you probably have heard of called The Lone Survivor. It was released in 2013, which I personally have never been able to watch because of my own trauma and memories, but I know his story and it's a beautiful one. I'm not telling you this story for the pity of his circumstances. He was a true warrior in my mind. I am telling this story because sometimes leadership requires sacrifice. Real leaders ask, what are you willing to give up for something greater than yourself? Those of you that don't know this is why I joined the military, actually. I went to college, I had an education degree, I was quietly teaching in this world. But I realized I really wanted something bigger. I wanted to do something bigger for the people around me. It had nothing to do with comfort or ego, recognition, or even control. The people in history we remember rarely are the people who protected themselves the most. They are usually the people who choose service, knowing it may cost something bigger. And this is where leadership and resilience connect in such a powerful way, because real leadership is rarely about comfort. Leadership is choosing responsibility when even the outcome is uncertain. Michael Murphy understood something many strong leaders eventually learn. Just because somebody is considered a strong leader, I need to quote strong leaders, doesn't mean they always understand resiliency. They don't always understand how circumstances control what you become. You can't always control those circumstances. You can, however, control who you become inside of those circumstances. That, to me anyway, is resiliency. It's not perfection. It's not fearlessness. It's showing the fear. It's allowing the people around you to know that sometimes shit's just not okay. The ability to remain anchored in purpose, even under stress and pressure. And honestly, many of the veterans listening today have already demonstrated more resilience than they ever give themselves credit for. I also want to talk about another group of warriors today, the ones who come home, the ones who survived the battlefield, but could never escape it. And this part of the conversation is deeply personal for me because my father fought in Korea. For years, the war was barely even recognized for what it truly was. Imagine carrying the weight of going to combat, death, fear, survival. He used to jump into combat. He was a combat jumper, and he'd watch his fellow people getting shot and dying all around him, getting moved from unit to unit because so many people were dying, and then returning home after that war, barely being acknowledged of it being a war. To explain what you endured was painful. Our father lived in survival mode long After the war ended, every single day he felt like he was trying to breathe through noise nobody could hear. None of us understood it. Sadly, it wasn't until my brother and I went to war ourselves that we could reflect back on the man he was, and that he was not actually a bad man like we thought he was when we were growing up. He was a wounded man. He struggled to feel safe. He struggled to feel emotionally present. He struggled to be the husband my mother needed. He eventually drank himself to death, trying to quiet a war he never was truly able to end inside of him. As difficult as my father's story was, there is also something important I learned from it. I learned how deeply unresolved pain can impact leadership, responsibilities, relationships, and identity. But I also learned how powerful awareness can become. Many veterans today are doing something previous generations were never taught to do. We are learning to talk, to connect, to reconnect, to ask for help, to rebuild structure, to create community. And that matters because resilience is not pretending you're okay. There are too many veterans out there still taking their own lives because they feel like pretending is okay, but it overtakes everything else, just like it did for my father. He was only 66 when he passed away. He could have lived, he could still be alive to this day. Sometimes resilience is finally showing up for yourself to stop carrying everything alone. That was a burden I even had to learn. It took me years to try to figure out how to navigate that. But I think the shift is one of the strongest forms of leadership we can model for the next generation. That reality exists in far more homes than people realize. There are veterans sitting quietly at dinner tables all across this country, carrying battles they don't know how to explain. They cannot slow their nervous system down. Some don't even know how to trust peace because survival became our normal. Some miss the structure, the purpose. Many miss the brotherhood or the sisterhood. Some simply feel misunderstood. It's because they are. The people around them can't understand what they went through. And I'm saying this because my husband was also a veteran. My brother is also a veteran. But the thing was, neither one of them knew what I went through in my circumstances. Too many times people suffer in silence because somewhere along the way, we learn that surviving means staying quiet. That's why I believe that because Memorial Day is around the corner, it should not be just remembering about the fallen that happened in the battlefield. It should be about remembering those people that we're losing every single day because they couldn't leave the battlefield behind. It should also be about protecting the living, checking on people, creating space where veterans can reconnect, giving structure back to lives that once depended on us, helping warriors remember they still matter even after their service to this country ends, because that is scary. Gosh, when I retired, I didn't know how to live. I didn't know how to breathe. I was fortunate enough to have a family that helped hold me up in those moments that I was trying to navigate because leadership does not stop when the uniform comes off, and neither should support. I also think we need to redefine what leadership looks like after military service because leadership after service is not about combat. Sometimes leadership looks like building a business while managing anxiety, learning how to reconnect with your family, breaking generational cycles. That was huge for me. I refused to allow what I brought home with me to destroy what was happening in front of me because I experienced it with my dad. Choosing therapy if it's needed, choosing sobriety so we can see and feel the things that are around us, helping another veteran to survive, creating stability after years of chaos. That too is leadership. And I think many veterans fail to recognize the strength they continue demonstrating long after the battlefield. They look at it as weakness. We look at it as weakness when in fact I've discovered it's my biggest strength. The uniform may come off, but leadership does not. It is in you forever. One of the greatest misconceptions about resilience is that resilient people are unaffected by pain. This is not true. Resilient people tend to carry a tremendous amount of pain, but eventually, even the strongest people need to reconnect. They need purpose, they need community, they need structure, and a reason to keep showing up. That is true in military service, and that is true in leadership as a leader, as a human being, whether you're leading people or things. Honestly, it's true in life. So today, if you're a veteran listening to this, I want you to hear me clearly. You are not weak because life after service feels difficult, and you are not broken. I know it. I live it every single day. I need you to know you're not alone. Connection matters. It is one reason I built the communities that I have built inside of my business. I've created membership groups, but I'm extending this something personal today. I've never done this before, and this is not a sales pitch. It's not to provide charity, but it's warrior to warrior, veteran to veteran, because we all serve together, no matter your branch, no matter your job, no matter your rank. Inside my groups, we have weekly live calls, conversation, structure, connection, leadership, discussion, support, accountability. Sometimes what a veteran misses most in life is not authority, it's rhythm, it's purpose, brotherhood, sisterhood, consistency, knowing somebody will notice if you disappear. I'm in a group that I have not been active in months, and it's crazy because I have friends in there, but they don't reach out to make sure I'm okay. Is that not the craziest thing? It's a group I am actually paying to be a part of, but yet nobody in the group has thought to check on me at all. So, what I'm saying to you today is if this conversation resonates with you, please look in the show notes, book a free call. It is a simple conversation, a chance to connect. No pressure, no performance, just people who understand service, trying to help each other move forward. Memorial Day is not only about those people that we lost on the battlefield, like Desmond Doss and Michael Murphy. It is about the lives forever changed because of war. And the people, veterans, we are losing every single day to suicide because they are not heard or seen the way they need to be heard. The spouses, the children. If you're a parent, contact me. Veterans still fighting silent battles after war. The greatest way we can honor sacrifice is by refusing to let people fight alone after they come home. Memorial Day, yes, is a way to respect those we lost during battles, but let's help not lose more. Please check the show notes. Please, if you feel like you need community, even if you're unsure, make the call. It's not a sales pitch, it's a way to connect. If this resonates with you in any way, as a leader, as not in understanding how to navigate the world, even if you're listening to this and you're not a veteran, but you feel stuck in some way, please check the show notes, make a call, download, subscribe, keep following me. I know this was a hard discussion this week, but I have all kinds of calls, all kinds of guests. We have fun. We do all the things because leadership is not forged in comfort. It is forged in responsibility. Take care of your people, take care of yourself, and guys, y'all, I will see you next time.